There have been some XREF enhancements in how you manage the files and layers in this version of AutoCAD. XREF line types are no longer displayed in the line type list or in the properties palette. For example, if I need to draw a line and I want to change the layer, I select it, and if I press Control 1, it will open up my properties palette. Now if I click on this list of layers, it only has layer 0 listed as an option, because that's all that I can apply to it. I can't apply layers from a referenced file. If I open up the XREF Manager by typing in XR, I can see that I have this ice rink file referenced in. That means if I open up the Layer Manager, type in LA, I will get a list of layers, but these are all from the ice rink, from that file and not this one. So that's good, because when I'm in the Properties Manager, I can't list those out because I can't pick them as an option to apply to my object anyway. So that's nice. It's a little thing that cleans stuff up. Now the XREF attachment type is easily toggled now between attachment and overlay. If I close these other palettes and open up the XREF Manager, let's stretch it out here so we can get a good look at it. And we can see this is the file I have referenced in, the ice rink example file. Now I can come down here to the bottom of my window, and I can very quickly just click on this, and I can change it from an attachment to an overlay. Click on it again, click attachment. So I can easily toggle that back and forth, and that's nice. That's not something we could easily do before. I can also very quickly and easily switch a file that's referenced from an absolute path to a relative path. You scroll down here, you can see where the file is found at, where the actual saved path is for the file. And if I select the XREF here, I come up to the top of this external reference manager, I can change the path. If I click on this arrow, I can make it absolute, or I can remove the path altogether. So if I make it absolute, and now it's an absolute path. You can also right click on it and get to some of your options here, attachment and overlay, and the path right here. So those are some of the new things and new controls that you have over your XREFs with the XREF Manager. They're small, but they are things that you might find useful. Cloud. To use many of these new features, you're going to have to be logged into your Autodesk 360 account. Autodesk 360 is a cloud-based service that Autodesk provides for free at no extra charge. You get online storage space, you can get automatic saving of your files to the cloud, you can share your files with other people, you can access them on your mobile device, and some of the other things that we're about to show you. One is that you can automatically sync your settings. You can save them, and that's really nice because it uploads them to the cloud, and then when you log on to a different machine anywhere else, it will download those settings and you'll be able to work in the same sort of environment that you already have set up. Another nice feature about it is that if you have your machine and it fails, and you reinstall AutoCAD after replacing the hardware, and you want to get your settings back the way you had them before, that's fine, not a problem. Just sign into your Autodesk 360 account and sync your settings. So I'm going to sign into my account. To do that, you come up here to the Info Center bar, and you click on the Sign In button, and you can sign into Autodesk 360. And if you want to learn more about Autodesk 360, just click here on the bottom. I'm going to sign in. And when your sign in is complete, you can update any of your profile preferences. If you want to turn on sync your settings with the cloud, just click right here. And you can look at a lot of different online options or go right to your Autodesk 360 account. You can even get your account details right here. Now, a lot of the Autodesk 360 features are managed right here in the Autodesk 360 ribbon tab. Click on it, it will get you to this tab here. You can click on these buttons here to manage your documents that you have online. This will launch the Autodesk 360 website, your options, your sync settings, your choose which settings that you want to sync. So if you click here, you can select any of these things, your options, your customized files, printers, line types, tool palettes, etc. Now, if you're working in an AutoCAD file, you can upload it to your Autodesk 360 account. And by doing that, it's saved in the cloud. Now, Autodesk 360 is also running in the background once you've signed in. If you go to save a file or open a file, you'll notice on that dialog box that there's an Autodesk 360 button here on the left window pane. That is a folder that's created on the hard drive of your workstation. That's where all of your files are saved to on your local machine and are copied into the cloud. So you aren't relying completely on the cloud. So if you lose your internet connection, you can still access everything here. Now, if the files are different between the two for some reason, then you only have access to what's on your hard drive here. But that's okay. This is a nice little way to back up your files and to help manage them, especially when you want to share your documents or collaborate with other people with Design Feed, which we're going to look at here in another section. It gives you access to what's called the Design Feed. The Design Feed is a feature that's been in AutoCAD WS, Autodesk's mobile version of AutoCAD that you can run on iOS or Android or in a browser, is now in AutoCAD. This is my favorite brand new tool from this version of AutoCAD. It's really cool. So if you don't have the Design Feed panel open, just go to your Autodesk 360 ribbon tab and click on the Design Feed button. That will open up this palette. What you have to do with your file before you can do anything with it is save your drawing to Autodesk 360. So you can just click Save. So you save your file right here in your Autodesk 360 folder. I'm just going to call this Design Feed Test. I already have a file in here, but it's blank. That's fine. I'm just going to replace it. So now this file is attached to my Autodesk 360 account. Now I can open up Design Feed again. Now, Design Feed enables users to communicate through a drawing by adding notes and images for discussion purposes. You have to be logged into your Autodesk 360 account to use it, and the file has to be saved in there as well. When you're using it, though, it will display this palette here, where you can share messages and images, notes, things like that with your colleagues, clients, consultants, or anyone else that you need to. Posts will appear with related drawings on a desktop, on the internet, or on your mobile device. These messages and images can be associated with a specific location in your drawing or just in general. There are different tools in here that will allow users to tag different colleagues or clients or consultants, whoever they've shared the file with. And you can share your files with multiple people via email. And then once you tag them or save the file, a notification will be delivered to that person. And it will also appear within AutoCAD. So if they have their version of the file opened up and it's shared through Autodesk 360, you make a change to it, you post a note here in Design Feed, and it will notify them right away. So you can be working in the same building even with your design team on a project. And you just come here and click on the Create Post. And that opens it up right here. You can say something like, "This is the best design ever," and hit Post. And it tells you right here, now it's number 1, and I can do a lot of other things with it. I can click reply to it. I can say, hey, this has been resolved, so we don't have to worry about it anymore, or I can even delete it. Now, another nice thing here that you can do is you can associate this post with an area in the drawing. So I can click on it here and then find a spot, and there we go. Say, this area is important. Click Post. Now it's done that. So if I select this comment, it'll zoom right to it. The little note will pop up and I know what's going on. You can pin something to a specific spot. You can tag a person in a post, or you can even attach an image. This is very handy with the mobile devices if you're out in the field somewhere inspecting a house, for example. And you can take a picture and it will be associated with a specific wall or the foundation, or maybe stairway, whatever the case might be. So you will have a picture from the field attached to your drawing, and it will be saved in the cloud. And you can also send that information to someone at your design shop, at your center, and they will be able to document it for you right away. So the Design Feed is a fantastic tool that can open up a lot of different possibilities for you and your coworkers or your colleagues to communicate with each other through AutoCAD. One of the new features that you can take advantage of in AutoCAD 2014 is the new Geographic Location tool. These tools allow you to find the location of your project and project a map into your drawing. It helps you by showing you the geographic surroundings of your project. These maps won't print. They're only for aiding you in your design process. Now, you're going to have to be logged into your Autodesk 360 account to take full advantage of this new tool, as it is cloud-based. Once you do, you can set your location using the Set Location tool in the Insert Ribbon tab. So if we come up to the ribbon, click on Insert, go to the Location panel, and click on Set Location. Now, if you have like a KMZ or KML file, you can load that yourself, and it will work essentially the same way. But we're going to use the maps from Autodesk 360. So we're going to click From Map. Now you can just pan around and find the spot that you want to use. Or if you want to do a search, say I will search for Houston, press Enter, and it will give you some results. And if you found the right spot, just click the Drop Marker Here button. Now if that's not the exact spot that you need, that's okay, because once you drop it in, you can move that thing around. So if I get this little push pin, I can left click and hold it, and I can drag it around to wherever I really need to go. So let's say I want it right here, and I can close this thing to get it out of the way. You can pan around. I want to drop it right here. And once you've got your marker in the proper spot, you're just going to click on the Continue button. You have different GIS coordinate systems and time zones here that you can switch. Or if you know the latitude and longitude, you can click this button here to activate it, and you can just set those right here if you'd like. This will center the map on your marker for you, which is kind of nice. You can also zoom in or zoom out with these controls, go north or south, and when you're ready, just hit Continue. Now you have to pick the spot where that pin mark is going. So if you know what those coordinates need to be, put it in there. Otherwise, you probably just want it to go at 0, 0, 0. Press Enter. And now, which way is north? Typically, north is going to be straight up. So you can just type in the angle, or you can pick it with your crosshairs. Press Enter, and here's the map. So now you can just start drawing away, and this gives you a bit of a reference to whatever it is that you're working on locally. You have some controls here so you can change your position, display the map in the viewport or not, remove the location, change the marker, etc. That means when you're dimensioning something and you want to continue that dimension, so let's say here I have a dimension, and I'm going to click here. If I want to continue, I can come up here to my Continue, and it comes here by default and sets up my dimensions. But let's say I have a different style. We're going to click the annotated one, and I have a dimension here. I'm going to put in. Now, regardless of what's set as being current, say I'm having my standard style be current. Now if I go to click Continue, and if I want to select, press S, say I want to pick this dimension. Now, what's nice about it is that it will automatically adopt the dimension style that you're continuing, even though it's not the current. Now, another thing is the ribbon hatch tool. It will maintain the previously used method of selecting a hatch, like either picking an internal point or selecting objects. So whatever you did last, that's what it's going to do. So one last thing, in the command line, the undo option has been added to it. So if I start a command, like line, and I perform one instance of it, and oh wait, I picked the wrong spot. Normally I would just cancel out and just start the command all over again. Pick my point. Nope, that's the wrong point again. I can come down here and click undo. It doesn't cancel out my command. I don't have to completely start over. I can click the first point and then the second point. Oops, that's the wrong second point. Well, I can just hit U for undo, or I can click down in here. Before I couldn't do that. So it makes it a little bit easier to undo some things. Those are a lot of the little things that have been put into this new version of AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT that make the experience a little bit better. These are very small things, but all of the small things together really add up. Now, a new version of AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT means that there are several little enhancements that have taken place. These are small changes that will make existing tools better, even if it's just slightly, but you get enough of these things and altogether they're almost like one big giant feature all on their own. One nice thing is that you can now draw arcs in either direction by pressing the Control key to switch directions. Let me show you. Type in A for the arc command, pick my center point, pick my start point, and it will draw in this direction. As you can see that it's starting at my start point, That little bit that's in between my crosshair and that first point is not getting drawn. If that's the part that I want drawn, that short little empty speck there, I just press and hold the control key, and now it swaps the directions. Let it go and it goes the other way. So a lot of times you start your arc command from the center and from a start point and you get it wrong. You get the direction wrong. It's frustrating. You have to stop and do it again. Well, this way you don't have to. You just press the control key and it lets you continue on. One of the other little things that have been added into AutoCAD 2014 is the ability to fillet a polyline. So if I start the polyline command and I want to fillet these two ends closed. Before AutoCAD 2014 and AutoCAD LT 2014, I couldn't do that. It wouldn't fillet in and close in on itself. I could fillet one of these corners, no problem. But let's say I'm going to fillet and make a radius of 2. I can click here now and I get my little preview. You can see I can now fillet a polyline on itself. It's the same thing now with a chamfer. The chamfer can do that as well. And that's a really great thing. Another thing that you can do is use the convert PSTL files. That's a long system variable and it's a command, but it lets users convert the current drawing to either a named or color dependent plot style. That's just a different way of managing your layers and line types and layer colors and line thicknesses when they print. If you're going to use a CTB file or an STB file. This is just something that will do that change for you on the fly. Another thing that you can do in AutoCAD 2014 is to have spaces in style names. You couldn't have that before. So if you go to your Annotate tab and you go to Dimension Styles, click here to open it up. Before, if we were going to make a new one, couldn't put spaces in it before, but now you can. It's not a huge thing, but it's one of those little tweaks that make the program just a little bit better. Now, the default behavior for inserting blocks with attributes is going to stay in the dialog box. The ATTDIA setting is set to 1. So just remember that if you're using attribute dialog boxes. What that means is that when you insert a block and it has attributes, and typically that'll be with like a title block, the window will open up when you insert it every time by default and allow you to insert that text. Now, of course, you can turn that off if you like. Another thing that's been changed is single line text. It's been changed to maintain the last justification setting until it's changed. So if I want to type in single line text, I'm going to justify it left. Put it in here, and we're going to type in text. Now, when I go to put this in, it kept the same justification that I had before. So if I try to do dtext again, and I go to justify, it's defaulting to left because that's what I used last time, and my height, and now my rotation, and I can just type in whatever I need. Usually when you're making text, you're doing it the same way over and over again until you need it to be different. That's just a little time saver. Another nice little thing is the dim. Autodesk has an app store. It's called Autodesk Exchange Apps. Now, this isn't a new feature. It's been around for a couple of releases now, but AutoCAD 2014 does enhance how you can manage those apps. One of the nice things about the Autodesk Exchange Apps program is that when you log in with your Autodesk 360 account to the Autodesk Exchange App Store, you get those apps. So if you log in to Exchange, like I am now, and then you go to another computer and log in, you still have access to the apps that you've purchased. So that's great. AutoCAD 2014 will give you several tools that are very valuable to help you manage your Autodesk Exchange apps. There are 2 different ribbon tabs that you will be able to use. One is the Featured Apps tab. Click it here. Click on the Connect to Exchange button right here. That will open up your default browser and take you right to the Autodesk Exchange apps, and it will take you to the AutoCAD store since it is in AutoCAD. Now, Autodesk does have stores for some of their other products, and you can surf to those just right here. So if you use something else besides AutoCAD, like Civil 3D or any of these other options here, Autodesk 3ds Max, for example, you can get to those stores just by clicking on the appropriate button. But these are all of the apps that are in this Exchange App Store. You have some featured apps right here and some of the most downloaded. And these lists will vary from time to time depending on what's being downloaded often and what Autodesk has chosen to feature. If we go back to AutoCAD, we can get to those featured apps right here. Not all of them are listed, as you just saw, but several of them will be. So check this from time to time because you might find something that could interest you, or there might be something that you could even use, like a dynamic block remover. That's something that might be helpful. If you like any of these apps, you can just click on one of them, and it will take you to the Autodesk Exchange App Store for that particular app. It will give you information about it and if you want to purchase it. Remember, once you purchase an app through your account, you'll need to sign in first, of course. And once you do, that app is yours, regardless of what machine you put it on. And that's a great feature to have. So you can see these featured apps here. You can connect to the Exchange store there as well. Now, any of the apps that you've installed onto your workstation, you can get to by clicking on the Plugins ribbon tab right here. And these are the apps that you have. Of course, this is the Exchange App Manager, which is really cool, and that comes default with this version of AutoCAD. It tells you what apps you've loaded, the company you got them from, when they were installed, their size, and if there is a status update. And if there is, you can just click on here and follow the on-screen instructions and your app will automatically be updated. So getting to the App Store is much easier, and you have tools built in now that can help you manage those apps, and it simplifies things. AutoCAD 2014 offers improved access to online help, particularly when using proxy servers. This new tool is called Secure Load. AutoCAD now provides new controls to enhance software security, and it helps you to prevent loading and running of unauthorized or even potentially malicious AutoLisp or VBA applications. Type in Options on the command line, and you go to the Files tab, the first tab on the left. You go right here to your trusted locations, and if you expand it out, you can add your folder here. So anything that you add to this folder, AutoCAD will automatically trust and load. So if you have a library of Lisp routines or VBA script files or something like that that you want to use that are being downloaded, you want to put them in that folder, or you want to make sure that folder is added here. Now to add that, you just click here, so you'll get this little blue box, and click on the Browse button. And then browse to that folder, click OK, and it will be added. Now if you ever change your mind and want to remove it, select the folder here, and then click the Remove button, and that will take it out. You can also access these controls using the new Trusted Paths and Trusted Domains system variables. You can also allow executable files to be loaded from all search paths, or only from trusted locations specified on the Files tab. And you can choose to display a warning before loading executable files outside these trusted locations. That way, if you miss something and you know it's okay, you can still use that. These options are applied to the new Secure Load System variable. And you get to these controls by going to the System tab. And you come down here to the bottom, and it says Security, and it's the executable file settings. Click that, you have your options here. As it says here, that these settings restrict the locations from where executable files are loaded. It helps you protect yourself from malicious code in these types of files. So you can change your secure load settings here. You have three main options. This is to choose the method to auto-load executable files. So you can load them from all locations without any warning. That really means no security, and it will just work the way AutoCAD has always worked. Just tell it to load it. Or you can click here, which is the default setting, to load from the trusted locations and to display a warning for other locations, and that will happen from time to time. Or you can really lock it down here and say only load things from trusted locations, and that's fine. And you can also choose the automatic loading functionality here of the AutoCAD LSP file. Now that's something that's been built into AutoCAD for a very long time. You have this setting here, and this is just another place for it to be changed. Now, the AutoCAD LSP file will load certain things for you automatically, and it always has done this. This just gives you a place to control when that file is going to load. Is it going to load at the start of every session, meaning right when you turn on AutoCAD and then no other time, or when you open up each drawing? It's up to you. But this is just another little tool that Autodesk has put into AutoCAD to help keep things more secure, especially now with our Exchange apps, which has been a secure place to work and to download files. And if you're looking for something, I suggest you look there because you know that it is going to be safe because Autodesk does approve all of these routines. This might be a tool you want to consider using to help protect yourself. There are many tools to use in AutoCAD, but before we can use them, we must know where they are or how to get to them. At first, you will need to hunt around for the tools that you want to use. But in no time, you're going to learn where everything is. In fact, your muscles will remember exactly where they need to move the mouse to get to your commands. The main form of input in AutoCAD is the mouse. A typical mouse has 3 buttons, though many users will take advantage of something like a 5-button mouse or a trackball. It's up to you, but all you need is a standard 2-button mouse with a scroll wheel. The scroll wheel acts as the 3rd button. Each button has a specific function. Button number 1, which is the left-click button, is your main form of input and selection. You click this button to select an object, like this circle, or this square, or these 2 lines. The right-click button can be set to one of several different functions. Out of the box, the right-click will bring up a shortcut window. This is very handy. Many users prefer, though, to have the right-click function as the Enter key. That's a big time saver, and this is my personal preference. I'll show you how to make this change. To customize the right-click functions of your mouse, you will need to open the Options window. To do this, open the Options window by moving the crosshairs to the Application menu. That's the big red A at the top left hand of the screen. Click it with the left click on your mouse. Now move your cursor down to the Options button. Select it by clicking, and this will open up your Options windows. There are many different tabs that are on here that get you to different types or different areas of settings. To customize the right-click function of your mouse, you want to go to the User Preferences tab. Just move your mouse over the tab and left-click. To customize the right-click action of your mouse, click here. These are your different options, but what you can do is set how it functions. Typically, you have about 2 choices. One will either make it open up a shortcut window, or it will press the Enter key. Right-clicking then will be like pressing the Enter key. You can also press the space bar in AutoCAD and while you're editing something or while you're in the middle of a command. The space bar and the Enter key act in the same way in AutoCAD, unless you're typing in text, of course. But you can make your mouse's right-click button act like the Enter key or space bar key. What that does, it keeps your hand on the mouse so you can start a command and finish it without having to take the time to move your hand to the keyboard. That's why I prefer it, but it's up to you. To turn off the shortcut menu, just click here. This will repeat the last command that acts like the Enter key. This is when you're in the default mode. That means you don't have any objects selected, you're not in the middle of a command, it's just the regular functioning state of AutoCAD. Now, when you're in edit mode, that means you have something selected. That's when the right-click functionality can be altered here as well. One thing you're going to find out about AutoCAD is that there are a tremendous amount of ways to customize its functionality. Some people never change a thing. Some people only tweak it just a little bit, but other people go crazy and completely customize it so that many users can't even recognize it as AutoCAD. I don't recommend that. Somewhere in the middle, I think, is the best option, but it's up to you. Click here for an edit mode to repeat the last command, but this is one you may want to keep the shortcut menu on because while you're working with something, you might want that shortcut. And in command mode, this means when you've started a command. So you have 3 basic options of functionality. You have your default mode, you have your edit mode, which means when you have something selected, and you have your command mode. That's when you're starting something, like you're drawing a line, and you're right in the middle of it. Now, one thing you can do to get the best of both worlds, and I really like doing this, is I click here, and I turn on the time-sensitive right-click. This means that when I right-click, it acts like I'm pressing the Enter key. But if I right-click and hold for 250 milliseconds, and by the way, I've never timed this, so I don't know how accurate it really is. But if you right-click and hold, it will bring up the shortcut menu, and you still have your Enter key functionality. I really like doing this. This is how I typically work with my right-click customization on. This is a pretty important customization because working with the mouse is your main form of working with AutoCAD. This is how the majority of your input will be done. Find the setting that works best for you. This is the way I will have this on for the remainder of the video training here, but you can do it however you want. That's the beauty of AutoCAD. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again throughout this series, that you can customize AutoCAD however you want it to run. When finished, click Apply and Close, and then OK. So now when I right click, it's going to act like the Enter key, which will repeat my last command. And my last command was to open up the Options window. But if I right click and hold, my shortcut window comes up. This shortcut window is very useful, so don't turn it off completely. I really suggest you use the time-sensitive clicking. But this gives you access to your last command or your last few commands. So if I wanted to draw a line, I can. I click the button and I start drawing my lines. Very useful. As you see, moving the mouse moves your crosshairs in the drawing. You're not changing the drawing, you're just putting your pick box, which is that square right in the middle of the crosshairs, somewhere. And wherever that pick box is, that's what you're going to pick. As you hover over these objects, they become dashed or highlighted. That means AutoCAD is telling you, hey, when you click here, this is what you're going to select. To unselect something, press the Escape key. Now you also have your scroll wheel, which is right in the middle. If you roll it back and forth, that's zooming in and out. That doesn't change your drawing any. It just sort of changes your perspective. You get a little closer or a little farther away. There was a time in AutoCAD when you couldn't do this, and it made things very difficult. But here's another little trick that you can use with the scroll wheel. If you click and hold the scroll wheel, it operates as the pan command, so that you can move around. So you can zoom in, pan across, zoom in some more, or zoom out. It's very handy. One other trick that you can use with your scroll wheel is to double click it. That does a zoom extents. We'll talk more about what zoom extents is in a lot of different ways and how you can use the zoom command in another section. But the zoom extents will zoom all the way out to display the extents of your drawing line work in your workspace area, which is very nice. That's a great way to navigate in your file or in your drawing very easily and very quickly. I can pan around, zoom in real tight to this corner. And now let's say I want to get out to the other corner really quickly of my drawing. Well, I can pan, 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 pan. Yeah, this is going nowhere fast. Or I can double click. It zooms all the way out. And now I can pan and zoom and get there very quickly. So you'll find yourself navigating through your file with your mouse very easily, especially with the scroll wheel. Zoom in and out, pan around, zoom extents. That's probably how you will do 95% of the navigation in your file. Now your crosshairs are another important tool. They are your target. Where your mouse goes, the crosshairs go. Where your crosshairs are is where your new lines, your text, your objects, anything you draw or create will be placed in your file. I prefer to have my crosshairs fill the screen. I do this so that I can use them as a guideline when I draw. To change this, but again, only if you want to, open up the Options window. You can right-click and hold if you change that setting, and go to Recent Input and go to the Options, or you can do it just like we showed earlier. And come down to Options. Now this time we want to go to the Display tab. It's up here towards the left. Now come over here to your crosshair size. This is a percentage. You can make it as small as 1% or as large as 100%. Click in this box and type in the number you want, or click and hold on this slider bar and move it back and forth. Either way. Again, in AutoCAD, you'll find that there are a lot of different ways to input information into your drawing. Now this is a percentage of your screen. At 100%, the crosshairs will extend 100% across and up and down. At 50%, they'll only fill half the screen. When you have the size you want, just click OK. And then you'll see here my crosshairs fit the screen. I like this because I use it as a drawing aid. I can quickly see if something is collinear, if they're lined up correctly or not. The pick box is still right where I need it to be. Again, this is user preference. A lot of people don't like it to be this big. A lot of people will have it around 50%. That's up to you. It's still pretty big. I can still use it as a guide, but it helps me to know a little bit better sometimes exactly where my pick box is at. Again, it's up to you. The crosshairs consist of 3 major items: your vertical line, your horizontal line, and the pick box. These 3 items are there for visual reference. The 2 lines are perfectly straight and they intersect at the middle of the pick box. This point of intersection is the point where you will select objects or insert new objects. We mentioned that earlier. When you move your crosshairs off of the drawing area, which is this big box right here, you're going to see something a little bit different. You're going to see an arrow. So when I move it to one of these selection options, to the command line or to my Windows toolbar, or anywhere in the ribbon, or the quick access toolbar, etc., it turns into a pointer. But on the main drawing area, this large black area again, you'll have them as crosshairs. This is where all of your objects go. There are 2 main spaces in which you will draw: model space and paper space. Model space is where your drawing objects go. Paper space is where your annotation and sheets objects go, like a title block or some text dimensions, your drawing border, etc. We'll cover these 2 spacers in good detail later on in another section. One other area that I want to mention before we go is the Info Center. That's right up here. This is where you can get a lot of different information. You can go there for help. You can go there to log on to Autodesk 360. You can search for different product updates and find a lot of information. We'll go into more detail about it later on. But every space on your screen has a reason, has a purpose, and is a useful tool that you want to make sure you look at.